Thanks for tuning in. We are here today to reflect on registered nursing leadership during the Hurricane Katrina disaster.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Olivia.
I'm Disha.
And I'm Steve.
Nurses have a long history of rising to the occasion whenever there are disasters, and have understood the importance of civic responsibility since Florence Nightingale stepped forward with her personal response to the Crimean War. As we brace for future disasters, the essence of nursing is to manage through the chaos, to save lives and prevent adverse outcomes, just as nurses did during Hurricane Katrina.
Today's learning objectives include Hurricane Katrina, the who, what, where, when, and why, nurse leadership during Hurricane Katrina, nursing leadership theories, the impact of Hurricane Katrina on nursing leadership, and disastrous events in Canada. Hurricane Katrina began in the Bahamas as a tropical depression on August 23, 2005. It weakened to a tropical storm until it passed over the Gulf of Mexico, where it regained strength and hurricane status. At its largest, Katrina was so wide that its diameter stretched across the Gulf of Mexico.
Before the storm hit, a mandatory evacuation was issued for New Orleans. Many people stayed. These were mostly the city's poorest individuals, those who were elderly, and those who lacked access to transportation.
On August 29, 2005, Katrina, now a Category 3 storm with winds as high as 140 kilometers an hour, hit New Orleans. One of the city's old and weakened levees broke, flooding the city. More than 50 levees would eventually fail before the storm subsided. Prior to the storm hitting, experts were very aware that New Orleans was at a disadvantage if flooding were to occur. This is because the city is a natural basin. Some of the city is below sea level, making it extra prone to flooding. Unfortunately, the low-income areas tended to be in the low-lying areas of the city. An estimated 80% of New Orleans was underwater.
An estimated 1,200 people died, and there was approximately $108 billion in property damage. Because of the ensuing destruction and loss of life, this made Katrina the costliest and one of the worst storms on record in the U.S. history. After the storm, an estimated 400,000 people were permanently displaced, with many not wanting to return to New Orleans after the trauma they experienced.
Hospitals were the problem and the solution during the Hurricane Katrina crisis. The staff within them cared for some of the city's most vulnerable people, but they also presented some of its most difficult challenges once flooding made evacuation necessary.
In the days after Hurricane Katrina struck and New Orleans' infrastructure failed, hospitals and other organizations responsible for human beings, such as nursing homes and jails, faced many difficulties. In many hospitals, patients had to be evacuated because of the loss of power, water, and sewage service, and many of these hospitals required external assistance that was slow to arrive. Meanwhile, thanks to the incredible volunteers and healthcare professionals, patient care continued unabated.
Storm hits Monday morning. We go through the worst of it, where what we thought was the worst of it, and that was getting our patients into the hall because the winds were kind of beating up.
We were on generator power, which meant minimal lighting, no air conditioning.
After the ventilators' batteries ran out, we had all of our nursing staff, housekeepers, vice presidents, any hands on deck, so to speak, maintaining these people's breathing by bagging them with an ambu bag.
I basically kind of felt we might not make it out of here anyway. I'm going to do the very best I can to save who I can.
Some hospitals evacuated all patients successfully, but some had become places of illness and death.
Conditions were terrible for medical staff and others trying to care for patients after Katrina. Many hospitals were short-staffed, and those who made it into work worked long shifts in adverse conditions. Patient care became challenging, especially as hospitals lost power to operate vital equipment. Essential supplies began to run out. There were even stories of emergency surgeries being performed by flashlight and little to no anesthesia.
The nurses who worked during Hurricane Katrina helped to form the new prototype of American heroism. Nurses were crucial in providing care to the thousands of patients that it required after the storm hit.
There's no elevator to take him down. He has to go down in this chair because he does not walk. The nursing staff took my husband in this big heavy chair. The weight of going down, 22 stairs per level to get him to the heliport, and doing it over and over again for each of the patients.
You become very strong when you have to carry a patient down the steps.
And then once we're out on the deck waiting for the helicopters, they continued to take wet rags and wipe his face as he was perspiring.
And when they were flying off, we were all jumping up and down, high-fiving and blowing kisses. It was great.
The head nurse of the unit did not know where her parents were. All she knew was that they lived in the section that she had just heard on TV had breached. And she was horrified, yet she's in here. I'm getting goosebumps. Remember, taking care of my husband. Angels.
What nurses saw and learned during and after Katrina have helped shape subsequent disaster plans and change the way they and others think about nursing. The storm highlighted the need for nurses everywhere to be able to practice to the full extent of their education and training.
Nurses rose to the leadership role in many ways during Hurricane Katrina. Articles were analyzed and will be summarized to show how leadership helped bring order to a chaotic time.
An article by 4 nurses working at a hospital in New Orleans highlights the many obvious situations in which nursing leadership was needed. Providing care to patients during the hurricane was their highest priority, and effective staffing arrangements had to be made to balance nurse and patient well-being, despite working in 37.7-degree heat.
Organizing, keeping inventory, and distributing the limited food and supplies also fell to the nurses. With everyone being displaced, one nursing director coordinated the process of registration and housing of staff, family, physicians, and visitors into sleeping areas. Leaders also had to overcome the lack of communication, with many hospital phone systems and internet capabilities ultimately being inoperable.
Nursing leaders assumed many roles and functions, including organization, coordination, creativity, spontaneity, flexibility, patient advocacy, teamwork, and support for each other.
Nurses outside the hospital walls also demonstrated amazing leadership through the evacuation response and volunteering. Many nurses were the team commanders of disaster medical assistance teams at the airport during mass medical evacuation and took leading roles at every stage of the process. Hurricane Katrina demonstrated the need for nurses to take strong leadership roles locally and nationally, especially during the pre-impact and impact phases of disaster.
Canadian nurses also showed their leadership, as more than 65 nurses responded to the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario's call for support. In the face of substantial challenges, these nurses provided leadership by making triage and treatment decisions for patients whose numbers far exceeded supplies and personnel.
All of these influential nurse leaders mentioned clearly showed both formal and informal qualities of crisis leadership, including decision-making, ability to remain calm, and effective communication, as well as the 4 informal themes like motivation to lead, autonomy, emotional leadership, and crisis as opportunity.
Leadership theories are used to prepare nurses for leadership roles. Being able to apply theoretical frameworks to our practice as a nurse and as a leader is critical to confront the many challenges that healthcare professionals face in the workplace, including disastrous events.
These many theories inform the healthcare professionals' leadership development so they may predict, understand, and lead innovation in organizations to successfully navigate the complex healthcare environment.
The following 5 theories are important for nurse leaders during disastrous events. Quantum leadership is adaptable and flexible in systems that are dynamic and non-linear, including disastrous events. The theory identifies common goals, empowers staff, and supports efficiency and job performance by assessing systems, processes, and relationships to achieve organizational goals.
Nursing Leadership Knowing Model addresses the distinctive challenges nurse leaders have within an unpredictable healthcare environment. It enhances nurse leadership sharpness in a framework focused on the realities of nursing practice and built on Carper's ways of knowing. During disastrous events, nurse leaders must make hard and quick decisions that can be very difficult.
Goal-setting theory focuses on establishing specific goals for targeted actions, performance, behaviors, and self-efficacy. Goals are the source of motivation. Difficult goals result in higher performance. A common goal and motivation for healthcare providers during disastrous events can be to keep people safe and out of harm's way. The drive to keep people safe can push healthcare providers to work in difficult environments and situations.
Chaos theory focuses on the impact of change on organizations. Organizations must be flexible and adapt to the environment. Individuals work together to share ideas, learn, adapt, and offer support in uncertainty and chaos. During disastrous events, it is essential that nurses work together and adapt to suboptimal environments to help those in need.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. People are complex and have a variety of needs, including physiological basic needs, safety and security, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. Nurse leaders need to prioritize people's needs during disastrous events, and this can be compromising.
Since Hurricane Katrina, a lot of research has been carried out on the leadership skills and qualities required to handle such an emergency. In addition to that, there was a significant increase in the involvement of nurses for emergency preparedness and response programs throughout North America and beyond.
Many nurses now serve as coordinators for the Public Health Emergency Preparedness and Hospital Preparedness Program. This program provides funding to states, territories, and other municipalities to help strengthen the abilities of health departments to respond to various public health incidents. In 2010, both programs funded over $1 billion to support public health and medical surge capabilities across the nation.
After Hurricane Katrina, Canada also took a major step towards more emergency preparedness and recovery strategies. Public Safety Canada created Canada's Emergency Management Act in 2007. This act recognized that all stakeholders, including nurses, must play a vital role in Canada's emergency management system. Canada recognizes that nurses' expertise in primary healthcare, interdisciplinary teamwork, and collaborative skills make them ideal leaders in disaster preparedness. One of the first steps taken was developing a strategic emergency management plan in anticipation not only for likely disasters, but also unexpected emergencies.
The CNA Nursing Leadership Development in Canada report of 2005 focused primarily on determining if current Canadian nursing leadership programs are providing both current and future nurses with the skills and knowledge to act as leaders when the situation arises.
The report examined leadership focus in colleges and universities and in professional nursing associations internationally. It discovered the lack of leadership development education, especially in emerging nurse leaders, and the lack of funding and accessibility for such learning opportunities. Since then, there has been a huge emphasis on the need for more emergency preparedness education, as well as leadership skills courses in the country. Many nursing programs nationwide saw a bigger focus on leadership in nursing curriculum, as with ours.
In recent years, Canadians have faced disastrous events of their own, and with that being said, nurses once again were one of the main workforces involved in attending to victims, as well as leading the recovery process.
The CNA believes the nursing profession plays a vital role in all aspects of emergencies, including prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Nursing leadership and its role in planning are essential to a comprehensive and coordinated approach to emergency preparedness and response.
Natural and man-made disasters are increasing around the world in both frequency and severity. And because of our education, nurses are well suited to the operational leadership positions during a disaster.
Because of Hurricane Katrina's profound impact, many articles have been written about nursing leadership that we can gain key insight from. Katrina has also influenced the formation of many organizations for emergency preparedness.
Being knowledgeable about the various skills and theories that are relevant to disaster management help us prepare for the unexpected when we may need to act as unsung leaders playing key roles during the response effort.